I hope you're enjoying my ride video. So what do I think of my Yamaha V-Star 250? Well, I find this a powerful enough, fun, easy to manage, nimble bike that's very easy on the pocketbook. I know that the North American motorcycle industry has leaned us toward thinking this is a beginner's bike, but that really isn't a true statement. It is a matter of what you're using it for. If you take long trips with everything including the kitchen sink, dog and cat, then it is not big enough. If you want to drive passing everything or you drive in aggressive fast freeway traffic, then this may not be the bike to buy. If you want a deep sound, low torque, ride in one gear everywhere, then you need a bike with a bigger engine. In review, I'll just go over some basic things on my V-Star 250, which now has just over 7,000 kilometers. On my next video, I will have some very basic modifications I've done. Starting with general positioning, the front pegs seem to do well for position in city and on highway. Occasionally on long trips, I move my feet back to the rear pegs to give me a change of position, as I am 6 foot 1.5 inches tall, but 90% of the time the position is good. The shifter is okay and seems to do well with my size 12 to 13 feet. I haven't had any problems getting my foot to the proper position shift. On a different note, I find that once in a while, I find that it doesn't like to go in first gear. So I have to go up and down in the gearing to get it to shift back down to first. Other than that, it shifts smoothly in all gears. On the opposite side of the bike, the brake is positioned decently. The braking power is constant and will not lock up under some quick applications. Good in some respects, as it tends not to lock the rear wheel so easily, which is great for beginner riders. In talking about the brakes, the front brakes, I find, have adequate enough grab to stop me quickly from a higher speed. To stop with more weight may not be as good as the braking as it's just adequate. The chain drive is quiet to me, but requires lubrication every 300 to 400 kilometers. With this, the lubrication flings out, so you have to clean up the area occasionally. The shock absorbers are adequate for this size of bike, but because the bike is light, tends to be a little on the hard side. There is some adjustment on the rear shocks, but this is limited. The front shocks seem to do okay, keeping me in a straight line after holes, ruts, or quick braking. The bike is quite light, around 325 pounds without any extras. I find the lightweight of the bike great, as I can push it around easily, and when it leans over, it does not feel like it's going to push me over. Because of its lightness, I find the bike nicely nimble in traffic. The North American trend is for bigger bikes, but I tried out a 750 Honda Shadow and found it too bulky and heavy. The seat for my 250 I find comfortable, but a little on the hard side, as I needed to stop about every 1.5 hours on a trip to get rid of numb bum, which probably really isn't that bad. The controls are in good positions, close to fingers, and easy to auto-remember. My handlebars are the short style, drag bars, so they give a different steering geometry than the pullback style. I like the drag bars, and my wife likes the pullback style on her V-Star 250. So I think it is a matter of what is comfortable for the individual rider. There is some vibration on the handlebars at and above 80 kilometers per hour. My next video goes over what I did to dampen the vibration. The instrument cluster is simple and clean looking. Easy to see the speedometer and warning lights in daylight and night, but the odometer is a little hard to see at night. Mirrors are big enough for me, but they do not stick out quite far enough to see around my body. I don't mind slightly adjusting my body to see around, but to move any more than just a little is not really ideal. At the same time, I don't want the mirrors too far out or the rear night headlights blind me. The gas tank is okay, but it would be nice to have a slightly larger tank. Gas gauge would be a convenience, but really not needed, as my bike gets very consistent gas miles, so I just have to look at the odometer from where I'm at. The headlights work well on high beam, but seem to be a little lacking on low, especially on rainy days. Their turn signals and brake lights do their job, but could be a little brighter. The power of the engine is good around town and on the highway. And being just a 250, you have to plan a little to pass cars or climb long steep mountain passes. To me, this adds to the fun and challenge of riding a motorcycle. The red line on this engine is about 8,400 RPM. With that, you can give yourself a good push in lower gears at highway speeds. But the maximum torque comes up around 6,000 RPM. So you have to juggle between the two to keep your power up to pass and on long steep hills. Just for reference, I weigh about 200 pounds. I find the sound of the exhaust good as it has the potato sound of a V-twin at idle, and sounds a little to me like an older European bike at higher RPMs. Though being a 250 stock, there isn't a whole lot of sound unless you modify the exhaust. As far as general fit and finish, it is well put together. It has a few plastic components which are fitted well. I have had nothing break or fall off, and the only thing that has come loose is one mirror lock nut. The paint has a nice finish and is fairly tough. I have run a few objects accidentally over the gas tank and it didn't scratch. Then I've dumped gas on it and it retains its luster. The one big plus on this bike is its stringent fuel consumption. I average around 96 imperial or 80 US miles per gallon, and fill up is around 200 kilometers for me. Comparing this to other 250 motorcycles or scooters, this bike is on the top for good mileage. Starting the bike in the morning, the engine takes around a minute to smoothly accelerate when the weather is warm. If it is around freezing, it takes longer to warm up, and the choke on for a little while. My wife's V-Star 250 takes longer to warm up and needs a little choke even on warm days. If you buy a V-Star 250, then it may vary on yours also. Okay, that about wraps up my review for my V-Star 250. Stay tuned for my next video, and I will go into some simple modifications I've made.